As I walk into our dimly lit living room, I notice the flickering shadows dancing on the walls, and the empty popcorn bowl rests on the coffee table, a remnant of our last movie night. My heart races as I call out, "Lynn, are you home?" Silence answers back, thick and palpable. Move toward the hallway, glancing at the family photos hung on the walls, each capturing happier times. I feel a chill run down my spine as I reach her office door, slightly ajar. "Lynn?" I say softly, pushing the door open slowly. Inside, I find the room eerily silent. Only the soft hum of the computer fills the air. The chair is turned away from me. I can't see her face. "Come on, this isn't funny," I say, a nervous chuckle escaping my lips. Suddenly, I hear a faint whispering sound, almost like a soft giggle sending shivers down my spine. I step further in and call out, "Lynn, please just come out." My pulse quickens. The darkness feels alive, closing in around me. Just as my heart feels like it's going to leap out of my chest, the chair spins around, revealing Lynn with a playful smirk, holding a couple of Halloween props. "Gotcha!" she squeals, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I exhale sharply in disbelief, half relieved and half annoyed. "Seriously, Lynn, you know I don't do well with surprises like this." I cross my arms, trying to maintain a stern expression, but deep down, I can't help but smile. I should also add that she never had any mental health issues, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't run in her family. I know some people are able to hide their mental health problems, but in the 6 years we've been together, I think I'd have seen some sort of sign. 2 months ago, I was in the kitchen making myself some coffee before work. I was running a bit late that morning and knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Dunkin' Donuts for my usual morning fix. I took a sip of my coffee as I hurried down the hall towards the front door, when I happened to notice Lynn peeking at me from around the corner ahead of me. I could only see her eyes and a strand of her long, dark hair hanging against the wall. The rest of her body was concealed behind the corner. I nearly spilled my coffee when I saw her. I did burn the shit out of my lips. "Geez, Lynn," I said, wiping a few drops of coffee from my pants. "You scared the shit out of me." She immediately popped out of view like a little kid that had been caught. I heard her scurry off towards the living room, and by the time I got to the front door, she was out of sight. It was really weird, and just totally out of character for her, like I said. But I also found it kind of funny that she was being more playful and a little less serious. I shouted that I loved her and called her a weirdo. As I shut the door behind me, I heard her laughing. Her behavior was a bit odd, but it certainly wasn't something to call a priest over. I forgot about it by lunch, and by the time I got home, she was her normal self. I didn't bring it up, and neither did she, and life went on. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m., and I had woken up to get a drink. I was standing at the kitchen island, jug of OJ in hand, when I felt a strong feeling that I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor and saw my wife's smiling face staring back. She was peeking at me from the other side of the island, staring up at me with wide, unblinking eyes and grinning. I screamed, I'll admit it. Not out of irritation, but fear. For some reason at that moment I was scared. At the sound of my scream, Lynn scuttled backward out of my view, her hands and feet smacking the tile floor as she hurried out of the kitchen on all fours. I didn't run after her or even yell after her. I just stood there frozen in shock, wondering what the hell had possessed her to do that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to go back upstairs, but I eventually did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn was lying on her side, asleep. Or at least pretending to be. I stood there for a while, watching her breathing to be sure she really was asleep. I had the feeling she might jump out at me the moment I got into bed. But she didn't. I climbed into bed and she didn't even move. Her breathing was soft and deep, and I was starting to wonder if I'd dreamt the whole thing. The next morning, I waited for her to come down for coffee, and after handing her a mug and kissing her cheek, I decided to ask her about it. "What was that about last night?" I asked, keeping my tone light so I didn't offend or embarrass her. She frowned over her cup of coffee, shaking her head like she had no clue what I was referring to.